Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Jay Rose. It's 609, tuning in here tonight, GFT Radio. Tonight is Thursday, the 17th. I'm lying. I just said it. Today's the 14th. Yo, I'm bugging. Today's the 14th. Y'all can sit here and tell me if you want. I got my co-host with me tonight. Sonny, say what's up.
Hey, everybody.
Clint, say what's up, Clint.
What's going on, people?
Tonight we have a very good show. It's good that we're doing this show tonight. You know, everybody here is parents. The show tonight is about dating and the birds and the bees when it comes to the kids. Be an interesting topic. Hopefully we can get a chance to get everybody involved on this one. While you're out there, if you have any questions, you want to call in. The number is 657-583-1155. We are here at GFTRadioshow.com, blogtalkradio.com/GFT Radio Show. We'll be on the line the lines will be opening up in about 15 minutes. We'll be here for about an hour and a half with the show. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to say, be sure to reach out to us. We'll be live tweeting while we're also doing the show. But we're just going to hop right into it. Like I say, we have everybody here, all of my co-hosts are parents, and we all have kids. Some are younger, some are older. But when we talk about the birds and the bees and we talk about dating, it's a very serious topic out here for the kids. So we're going to start it out with the birds and the bees talk first. When is it appropriate to give that talk to your kids? That's what the main question is about the birds and the bees. So I'm going to start this off on to Kenya. I'm lying. Damn. So I am buzzing tonight.
Wake up, J-Ro.
I'm going to Sonny. I'm going to Sonny on this one first. Sonny, when do you? Because I believe your daughter is the oldest out of all of ours. When do you have that? Have you had that talk yet with your daughter? And when do you think is an appropriate time to have that talk with your children?
Well, I have not yet to have that talk with my daughter. When do I feel it's appropriate? I feel it's appropriate to have it right before she starts dating. That's when actually the other day we were talking about that, and I told her I asked her about dating, and she said, "Yeah, when are you gonna let me date?" I asked her when did she want to start dating. She said 9th grade, and I was like, "Really?" So she was like, "Yeah," and I said, "Well, you can start dating when we can have that talk, you know, the dating talk, the birds and the bees, and all that, like all that serious conversation we need to have." That's when we need to have it before you start dating.
Do you have a specific date that's set, like a specific age that's set? Like I know some parents, you know, they say, you know, you can't start dating until you're 14. You can't start dating until you hit this grade or a certain grade or things like that. Do you have a certain?
I told her 10th grade. She said 9th grade, and I said no 10th. That way because 9th grade you just get into high school. You don't really know anything. You get in there, you start getting your grades together because, you know, high school is a little bit different than all the other schools. And if you are having good grades and doing what you're supposed to do in 9th grade, then by 10th grade you're allowed to date. But before you start dating, we need to have that conversation.
So you're saying somewhere around like the 15, 16 year age?
Yeah.
All right. Clint, what do you have to say about this? Same question, you know, what's that age? Do you have a certain age? Have you had this talk yet? I know your daughter is a little younger than ours, and especially younger than Sonny's. But do you have a certain age? And have you had that talk yet?
Well, with my daughter, like you said, she's young, so I don't want to have that talk with her yet. But I do have sisters, younger sisters. I'm the oldest of 8. And I have 4 younger sisters. You know, my thing is, even with my daughter, you know, when it comes down to dating, my preferable age is around like 16. You know what I mean? Like 16. And even then, I think, you know, depending on where they're going, it should be chaperones or whatever. You feel me? I think some of these kids have too much freedom at a young age dating, you know, especially the young girls. You know, with my daughter, I think that would be the ideal age for me. You know, and like Sonny said, once I realized her interests, you know, in the opposite sex and wanting to date and all that stuff, I think that'll be the time for me to have a conversation with her as well, right as she's starting to date. I think that's the best time, you know. And, you know, we're having little brothers. Well, I guess we can get to that in a minute. We're going to talk about our own right now. But with my daughter, you know, I preferably prefer her not to date until she's about 16, you know, and then we'll have that talk around then. Now, I can't, you know, things happen. Kids get exposed to things earlier without your knowing. You know, we know as kids, we all been kids. You know, we all seen things that we know our parents wouldn't want us to see when we was younger, or we was doing things they wouldn't want us to do when we was younger. Especially when it comes to that, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little pervert when I was little, so I know. You know, I already know. You know, I was trying to cop feels and everything. You feel me? How to get in all that type stuff.
You was one of the ones that was putting on people's butt.
I've been crossing hands, can't open up, she touch girl butt, stuff like that. You know what I mean? that was me. That was me. You feel me? So I already know if she's exposed to it earlier and I find out, then, you know, best laid plans go astray. You have to ditch that plan and talk to them at an early age. It could be 12. You know what I mean? I ain't ready to have that conversation with her at 12, but if it's then that's what it is.
You know, my daughter is 7, and it killed me because I knew it was going to have to happen, but nobody wants to sit and think like, oh, you know, I need to have this talk. I'm kind of with you, you know, once she gets older, you know, I'm not really worried about dating in middle school and having a boyfriend and all of that in middle school. Not to worry about it until you at least get to high school. And I know some people put that age preference between like 14 and 15. You know, like you said, I mean, as long as you're in high school, you know, the main thing, especially once you get to high school, is to concentrate on your grades. That's all I'm worried about, is you concentrating on your grades. Like the boys, they'll come, they'll go. I know how it is in high school. I mean, you might fall in love with your high school sweetheart and then be with them forever. Or you could be just one of the ones, hey, you know, boyfriend is going to come and go while you're in high school. But my thing is I want you to concentrate on those grades. I don't want you to worry about a dude. So I'm saying somewhere between like the 15, 16-year age is when I would say you start dating. Now, Clint, you had started to say something a little earlier, you know, because you had said something about boys, you know. I know you said you had a daughter, but you also have a lot of sisters, younger sisters, but then you said something about boys. And let's talk about that because I know one of my other co-hosts has a son also, and I have a son. So is it different for boys than it is for girls? Like, would you say you would let your son date at an earlier age than you would your daughter?
It's definitely a difference. You know what I mean? Some may call it a double standard. I just call it, you know what I mean, it's a difference between male and female. It's just different. You know, with my brothers, you know, with boys, more so you're more lax. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you want to let them know the pitfalls. You know, I was just having this brother, my little brother, the oldest of my little brothers is 15. You know, he just turned 15 in January. He got a little girlfriend or whatever. And I was just having this conversation with him about, you know, be careful. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I started off with asking, saying, like, I don't know if y'all having sex yet or y'all even thinking about it, but be careful because there's a lot that comes with it. You know, the conversation with the boy is different from the girl because the girl got to carry that baby. You know what I mean? So, like, I know that would be, if I was talking to my daughter, like, you got to carry that baby, you get pregnant. You know what I mean? Dude could walk away, run away, and you could never find her. But at the end of the day, you stuck with that baby. So it's a different conversation with the boy, but also it comes with different responsibilities. You know what I mean? Because not all men or young boys run from their responsibilities. So you gotta be prepared and willing. Are you ready to make those sacrifices in your young life? You know what I mean? Having a baby, because this is the consequences of having sex. You know what I mean? You may think of all the good things and all the pleasurable things about sex, but it's a responsibility that comes with it. So, of course, I think you know, with boys, you know, 15, 16, the little brother, your son tell you got some, you know what I mean? at the end of the day, you slide patting him on his back. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
As a parent, you do have, and I see a lot of people, clown and joke the community, like, oh, my son has a girlfriend, but you hear your daughter has a boyfriend, and you go crazy, but your son, you go pat him on the back, ask him what he did with the girl, you kiss her, you hold her hand, you grab her butt. If you come to your daughter and you ask your daughter, like, yo, anybody touch you, anybody do anything, you go crazy over that. It's crazy.
Well, I'm not patting my son on the back.
Say that again.
I mean, she said she wouldn't pat her son on the back.
I'm not patting my son on the back. I'm gonna tell him, like, I'm hearing about that song. These hoes ain't loyal. Let me tell you something. You don't need to be having no babies at a young age. You better put a condom on at all times. I don't care how much they love you. I'm okay. I don't got nothing. Put a condom on. Like, don't be bringing no somebody in my house. This is my baby, and I don't know. I never seen this person a day in my life. Same with my daughter. Like, I don't want you walking in, and that's why I say that age, because I don't want you walking in on prom night or the couple of weeks before prom night. It's my boyfriend. Who the hell is he? I don't know him. Like, and I don't know what he been telling you. I never seen you around this guy. I want to know what he's like. And that's the same with my son. I would want to know the same thing. And I just think that the talk is definitely different. When guys have the talk with their son, they're like, yeah, you got some. Yeah, And I was like, no, I want you to understand the impact of what you're doing because, you already know when the first time you have sex with somebody, most girls fall in love. You might not be in love with the girl. You might have just told her, I love you. You don't really love her. And now you told this girl you love her, and she think you in love, and you done slept with her, and now you like a dog. I'm one of my kids are all for a circle, everything. Like, it's STDs, it's children that could be had. Everything is real.
You know what I noticed? It's also a difference, like you just touched on it, the way a mother would talk to their kids about it and the way a father would talk to their kids about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I think with a father, with his son, he may be, he going to let him know it's real at the end of the day, but he also going to be a little bit more laid back. But with his daughter, I think he's going to be more protective. You know what I mean? Where with a mother, I think my mom was more protective over me with females, than my dad. You feel me? Like my mom was like how you just said. You know what I mean? Don't be these little scallywags out here and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? My mom want beat. My mom just want beat. Like don't be having these little heifers call my crib and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't know them. You know what I mean? That's how my mom coming. My dad he was more like that's what I'm talking about, my boy. You feel me? So it's definitely a different conversation with parents.
Yeah, but I have a question. Do you think that, like, I noticed with this guy I was dating back when I was a teenager, when I went to his house, his dad was so happy that I was there. Like we were young. His dad was like, oh, he's in the shower. Go up in his room and wait for him. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, what? But his dad was so happy, and I was kind of put off, and I was just asking him what's wrong with his dad. His dad was happy that he wasn't gay because he never seen him with a female. And all of a sudden, now there's a female at the house. His dad was, like, ecstatic, like to the point where no mother is going to say, oh, my daughter's in the shower, go wait in her room. It's like, no, first of all, you wouldn't even know she's in the shower. A mother wouldn't even put that thought in her head about her daughter being in the shower to no man. But for his dad his mom was, like, protective of him. But then his dad was just like, go up there, wait for him. I'm just like, okay. I think it's with, like, yes, I think it's more with, the fathers, they know that their son is okay in their eyes, in that sense. Yeah. And it's like, yes, you got a girl coming to this house. It ain't no dude. We're good. High five. You good. We won. And with the mom, it's like, no, like as you said, it's different with the moms and their boys the same way as with fathers. They go, how dare you touch my daughter? Don't touch my daughter. Don't look at her type of way, Yeah, I remember, even though I was grown, I remember being grown, going to the grocery store with my dad when I was around him, and he flipped out. Like, this guy was like, hey, you're not from around here? He basically slapped us like, get out her face. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm grown. What are you doing? But I guess that thought in their
still
head.
Baby girl.
Yeah.
Still baby girl.
Wow.
Now, I got a question because we kind of already jumped into the topic of talking to your kids about sex. Now, it's all different for everybody because everybody goes through things differently. I can remember when I was, this was years ago, maybe like 7 years ago. My niece, she was in Girard College. We used to take her back and forth to school. She was in I'm gonna say maybe like 5th or 6th grade, and one of her friends was actually going through her menstrual cycle at this time. I mean, it starts earlier and earlier nowadays. So you're thinking that you're talking to a 5th or a 6th grader at that early of an age about sex. I mean, they're talking about they have health class in schools now where they're actually teaching kids about these things earlier and earlier. And some people actually have an issue with the schools teaching their kids about sex ed, physical ed, and things like that because the parents aren't doing it. Like I say, I mean, you have to do it earlier and earlier. So what is that age that you think you should have this conversation with your kids? And another question that I have to ask too: Do you think you should leave it up to the schools for the schools to teach it, or do you think that's something that probably shouldn't be taught in the schools?
I think it's a mixture of both. And it's funny because last year I got a paper sent home to my daughter to school, and they were basically letting us know that this is they're going to have a sexual education class in her school, and is it okay for her to take it? And you had to check a box off whether it was okay. I thought that was weird because we learned that in school. Why can't they? Like, why are you asking us? Can you teach us that? And we learn that in school. I mean, you also, as a parent, should talk to your kids too. But I think it works both ways. The school should be teaching them, and as well as you.
Yeah, what grade was she in?
She was seventh grade. This is the 8th grade year. Seventh grade. She came home with a paper, and I was like flabbergasted. Like, why would y'all send the paper home asking me is it okay?
So again, we're talking maybe like 13 or so.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my niece. She had to be maybe like 10, 9, 10, somewhere around there. It starts younger and younger every year. Like there's something in this water.
What with the menstrual cycle?
Yes.
Or the body? Yeah. I mean, I had to have a conversation with my daughter early, and my daughter does not look like a 13-year-old. She looks like she's 16. I don't like that, but I talk to her, but she knows, like, I have to remind, like, I don't like the way people look at her, and I have to let them know that she's a minor, don't look at her that way. But I did have the talk with her about her period, but I didn't really go as far as to explain sex to her because she gets all like, what? Oh, my God. And I'm like, no, you need to know this. And she gets all weirded out and uncomfortable. It's a big to-do, and that's why I said to her, she can't date until we can have that conversation because she's already weirded out by even talking about the menstrual cycle and that your body is changing and blah, blah, blah. She's like, ew, I don't want to do that. But then again, my mom didn't have that talk with me either. I learned everything I had to learn from school and friends because my mother, if you asked about sex, you were having it. Like there was no. Go ahead.
I think it to his point about the schools. I think once you hit puberty, I think puberty should be discussed in schools. Should be taught in schools. Now, like I said, personally, preferably to talk to my kids about sex, my daughter about sex. I will want to wait till 16. But like we said earlier, that's living in having rose-colored class. Yeah. So, I would like the school to have when it comes to sex education, not get too in deep with it. I think that's up to the parents right there. But as far as puberty and going through the changes that your body go through as you mature, and the feelings and some, the hormones and all that, you can discuss that. But as far as
But then you got to look at. I'm sorry, but then you got to look at what's happening now. Like this in this time, you have kids. My daughter in 6th grade had somebody in her class that was pregnant. So I think once they hit middle school, they need to be talking about that because like puberty and sex, not really get in depth, but let these kids understand because you got kids. You got like if my daughter. I don't want to say she's sheltered, but she's like still a kid, really. But she likes boys and stuff like that. But she hasn't really gone off the deep end to where she start acting grown. But they need to be aware because when you walk into a school, like you talk coming from grade school, and then you show up in school 6th grade year, somebody pregnant, and your kids actually, hey, Mom, is this girl in our class pregnant? And you got to explain that to them. I think that they need to have those conversations in school.
But like I can remember when I was in middle school, the teacher that was actually, no, it wasn't middle school, it was high school. It had to be like my freshman year. We had a teacher who was scared to go to the store to buy condoms to teach everybody about condoms. I'm like, you can't be a health teacher and you're scared to like actually talk about sex and things like that, and you can't even have a serious, like, not even a serious conversation. You can't even go to the store to buy a condom because you're embarrassed. Like, you're a grown adult. And you're trying to teach kids about sex, but you can't even go to the store and buy a condom.
Yeah.
Just to show us what it was.
Yeah. I think, like you said, with all the diseases, sexual diseases out there and everything, you know, I tend to agree with you. Like, it should be talked about more in school. It should be talked about early on because, you know, like I said, it's more, they need to understand it's more than sex than just pleasure. There's a lot that comes along with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility with
it. Well, I know you both said that, you said, your daughter was in middle school and she had somebody who was pregnant. I mean, that's becoming a popular thing in the culture now. I mean, they have TV shows about it.
Yes.
16 and pregnant, teen mom. Like, the kids nowadays are seeing these shows on TV, and they're just like, oh, that's cool. That's popular. That's what everybody's doing. I can get pregnant, and I can have me a TV show, become a reality star because I get pregnant as a teenager. I'm like, no, that's not cool. But the media out here nowadays is basically glorifying these things and helping these kids make money off of it. Because they're still kids themselves and they're getting pregnant.
Yeah.
So obviously somebody dropped the ball on that one, whether it was the parents, whether it was the school. Now me, like I hear a lot of people on the radio talking about how they don't want their kids taking sex ed in school. They don't want somebody else teaching their kids about sex ed and all these other things. But if you're not going to do it as a parent, you're going to wait till too long.
Yeah.
And my son and daughter, they're in second and fifth grade, and I didn't get into depth. Well, I mean, they're not getting into depth with it, but they have health class in gym. They have health class half the year and gym the other half the year.
Yeah.
And I asked them about what they do in health class, but most of their health classes are talking about like eating right and exercising and stuff like that. But they still have a health class. In elementary school. I'm pretty sure once they get to middle school and high school, my son will be in middle school next year, that it's probably going to be a little bit more into it than just, okay, you got to eat right, you got to exercise. They're probably going to start introducing a couple heavier subjects. And so, I mean, like I say, it might not go into like the whole sex act and everything, but diseases and STDs and pregnancies and things like that, or at least like puberty. How your body is going to change and things like that, because he's going to be going through it soon. You don't want a kid to be out there, wake up and not knowing what's happening.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why I have no. Like I said, I was shocked when they sent that paper home. I think they shouldn't have sent the paper home. If we had it when we were kids, why should they not have it as kids? I don't think they're going to go all into depth and all wild out, but these kids do need to have that conversation in school as well as home. I don't think it should be solely on the school. I think it should be on the school and the parents. But a lot of parents aren't talking to their kids about it. Like I said, my mom never did. If we asked, it was assumed that we were doing it. So if you have parents that are like that, I think you need to learn from one or two ways, if not both.
I'm about to make a lot of people mad. You know, let me get this out real quick, Clint, then I'll let you go. But you know why a lot of it is happening? Because America is soft right now. The whole world is soft when it comes to certain conversations, certain situations. People are soft about things. They don't want to come to the reality and hear the truth about these things, and that's what's wrong with society and what's wrong with America right now. They baby the kids. They treat them like babies. It's going a whole different direction. But I was talking to my wife earlier about the participation trophy that everybody gets. You get a participation trophy just for playing. There's no more winners and losers. Oh, you won the championship. You're the only one getting the trophy. No, everybody gets a trophy. The world is soft right now. They're raising a bunch of kids the baby way. They baby these kids too much, and that's exactly why we're kind of in a situation with this 16 and pregnant and teen mom, because these parents don't want to take their responsibilities and they don't want to teach. They don't want the school to teach the kids these things, and that's an issue.
basically, to piggyback off basically what you're saying, our standards. You know what I mean? We don't have any high standards anymore, whether it comes to, you know, raising our children, especially when it comes to raising our children, because a lot of the times, a lot of these kids are being raised by the TV.
Yeah.
You know, so they're learning life from something that's fictional. You know what I mean? Like, this is television. Like, you know, this is just entertainment and marketing, you know, and they're learning relationship advice from TV. You know, some of these shows come on regular, you know what I mean, national regular TV on ABC, CBS, you know, they be so racy with the sex now, like you don't even want your kids watching it. You're like, wow.
Yeah, regular TV.
Yeah, like
it's all over.
Yeah, it's all over. So I think definitely at some point parents first have to step up, you know what I mean, and start having these conversations with their children, because like, you know what I mean, like Sonny said, a lot of parents don't have these conversations, period. They avoid them. You know what I mean? They try to feel like it's taboo. And basically it goes back to the fact that what Sonny said, her parents never had that conversation with her. So it's a cycle. So we got to break that cycle, you know what I mean, especially when it comes to sex and dating. And, you know, when we go talk about standards, we also got to raise the standards of teaching our kids how to date, how to court somebody, or how to be courted. You know what I mean? What's acceptable in a relationship, what's not acceptable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of, you know what I mean, it's adults. There's adults out here that still don't understand, because either they didn't learn from their mistakes or they just want to talk that. You know what I mean? Stop listening to music telling you how to treat a woman, how to treat a dude, and stuff like that. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot that go into it, especially when it come to educating the kids, man.
I want to bring this point up real quick. A lot of us, because we're all around the same age, used to watch these TV shows, and back in the day, TV shows, they really didn't talk about these kind of situations. Like, you might hear about it every once in a while, but nowadays the TV shows now, they bring up these conversations of their kids having sex or having babies. I could think of one example that comes to mind. You guys ever watch My Wife and Kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
The original daughter that they had on there, the older daughter, her name was Claire. She was actually played by two different actresses, and I remember reading that the main reason that the original daughter got pulled from the show was because her mom didn't agree with the direction that the show was going, because throughout the show, you know, the son Junior wound up getting the girl pregnant. The mom of the original daughter didn't want her daughter to be in a TV show like that, where kids are having babies and they're talking about having sex and things like that. So she wound up pulling her daughter off the show, and that's why they had to recast the daughter. But these things happen in everyday TV shows. Clint brought up the idea that the kids are being raised by TV. So a lot of these TV shows are having kids talking about sex now, and parents don't. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, but see, I think in some instances, but here's the problem. A lot of times in the TV shows, not all, but for some of the TV shows, they hit the nail on the head. They talk about real things that are happening in the real world. Whether it's fake or not, they're bringing up real world problems and they're showing how people deal with them. They might not necessarily be realistic, but in some they are very realistic, and this is how people deal with those type of situations. So I think in some instances it brings it up, a very important topic, and basically you get to see how these people address this issue. Not necessarily that's the way you're going to address the issue, but that literally happens. Kids been getting pregnant long before there was a teen mom or 16 and pregnant and all that. That's been happening before all those shows. So it kind of now it's bringing it into the real world for everybody to see. And I don't think that how they capitalized on it is a bit much, but to bring that topic up into a TV show, to bring a real topic, like, you know, a lot of shows brought up real topics that happen in the world. I think to address it is a good thing, but I don't think that I think at some point these people actors need to know it's a show.
Yeah, I think it's being glorified. I think that's the issue. It's being glorified. teen pregnancy and all that, because we all know, we all know it's nothing new in any community. Teenagers having babies, nothing new. Everybody knew it already, but I wouldn't say it was hush hush. I just think, in certain communities, in certain areas, they try to keep it hush hush when the teenagers get pregnant or whatever. But I think at some point, it goes back to, like you said, there's nothing new under the sun, nothing that hasn't been done. So I don't really see it ever not being teen parents or teen kids. Whatever, teenagers having sex and all that, like, if that's life, it's going to happen. We can't change it. What we can do is just educate. You feel me? I think that's the big thing, and not glorify. Show both sides to the story. And I don't think necessarily on TV, like you said, there are instances where they give they try to give every side to the story. But for the most part, it's all glorification. We're all doing these TV shows.
I think that 16 and pregnant has gone haywire. Like,
I
think
had a couple
that
of spin-offs with that.
Different, it's different than
teen mom.
Yeah, it's different than having a show where that happens in a TV show. But I think when you go to that part where the reality is, and these teen parents are just acting a fool, I think that is the problem. Because at that point, you're glorifying it. At that point, you're choosing to make this person who got pregnant at a young age a celebrity. That is not something. Not saying, like, as a teen you shouldn't, like, if you get pregnant you have to take responsibility or whatever the case may be. But I think at that point you're basically saying that you could be the next person that's on TV as a teen mom. That's a bit much. To me, that at that point, that's glorifying. That's making it seem like it's this glamorized thing that it's not. Like, first of all, you're a teenager. You have to realize that at that point, once the kid walks in the picture, it's not about you. You're not, your life not necessarily stops, but it's not just you.
Yeah.
Someone is dependent on you, so your behavior, your actions, everything you do, you have to realize that it's not just you.
Question. I just want to backpedal a little bit, because you mentioned something early, and I wanted to get to. I forgot for a second when you said when you went over to gentleman's house and the dad let you go upstairs, this, that, and the third. Each of you, I want to ask both of y'all this question. Do you think it's appropriate to let the minors go up in each other's bedroom with your permission or without your permission, whether you're there or not there? Do you have to be there if they go up to allow them to go upstairs in the bedroom and chill and stuff like that, or do you think it's inappropriate altogether?
Nowadays, like back in the day, you wouldn't have thought of anything about it. Like, they're just going up there, nothing's really gonna happen. It's all innocent. But nowadays, like, you don't know. Like the way the kids are nowadays is these kids out here are fast. They things that they aren't supposed to be doing. You're up in the room. Like, you could probably think back in the day when you were young, your mom and dad, your parents, whoever let you go into somebody's room. You kept the door open. One person on the bed, one person on the floor, whatever it had to be.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the kids around here, they got the door closed. They lock their door when they're in their room, and you don't know what they're doing. Parents don't check up on them. Parents might not even be home nowadays. Kids get home from school and they're home by themselves, and next thing you know, they got 3-4 friends over their house, and they start doing whatever. They start drinking. They start doing whatever and talking about sex or having. They might not even be having sex, but they might be up there, trying to cop a feel or something like that. So it's nowadays. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think I could see myself letting my son have a girl over in his room and not think that nothing's gonna happen.
Sonny?
Now you got me worried, bro. Don't say stuff like that. My daughter gets she comes home. She gets home maybe an hour and a half before me. And when I say if I take off work, I won't tell her because I want to see when she's coming home and what she's doing when she come home. That's just me because I'm a mom. I know that I'm not home for an hour. I don't know what she could be doing, but I have my neighbor is a spy. But I'm like. I'll pop up randomly. But as far as the room is concerned, I really would not like it, but I understand that they probably want, like, if they're studying, they might want privacy in the second and third. I might say go in the kitchen. If I'm home, your door is going to be open, same way Jabril said, one person on the bed, one person on the floor or sitting in the chair. No, like, I'm walking randomly through the house, just random moments, so don't have me smack nobody up because I will smack somebody else to get up. But at the same time, you have to understand, like, I think it's the trust level and the maturity of your child. Because at some point you have to trust them and know that they have good judgment, especially if you actually had that conversation with them and you talk to them and you have to give them, like, you have to give them an inch. Like my mom would say, give you an inch and you take a mile. But watch, like, I'm going to give you instances and see what you're going to do. Now, if you step over and you go a couple more inches, then we're going to have to take a couple steps back. You got to start all over again because you can't even stay where you were, you know. So I would like to say I don't know because I'm not there yet. I would want to trust my child. And if you give me a reason not to trust you, then you can't be trusted. Then there's nobody coming to the house, and then we're going to have a problem. Because if I can't trust you, we have a major problem.
I tend to side with Jabril. I don't think it's appropriate at all unless you're paying bills. You know what I mean? Like, for real, like, the opposite sex. I don't, like, nah, I ain't comfortable with that.
Well, you don't know because your child could be attracted to the same sex, and then at that point you're going to... Well, once I figure that out, hopefully, you know what I mean, what I want my daughter to understand, she can talk to me about anything. Mm-hmm.
So if that's her feelings and that's her, you know what I mean, that's her lifestyle choice, you know, first of all, personally, I don't know if she's going to know that 5, 12, 13, 14. I don't know. You know what I mean? But if she does know it by then, hope she share that with me. So even then, I know, okay, well, then you can't even have a same-sex couple in your room. Y'all going to chill downstairs. You feel me? Because that's all you see on TV now, too, is, you know, they promoting that more, the same-sex couples and all that. So they see that on TV just as much as anything. So now, you know, my mind racing too. Like, nah, you ain't about to get that off on me. You know what I mean? Y'all gonna sit your ass down here in this living room in front of this TV, or y'all gonna sit in the, you know what I mean, the living room at that cable. You feel me? Where I can keep a clear eye on y'all.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I don't think it's appropriate. And at the same time, you know, it's a lot of other stuff like Jabril touched on. Like, we're in a different time.
Yeah.
So we don't just gotta worry about that. We gotta worry about sexting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We gotta worry about, you know, you feel me? Last thing I want to see is my daughter on War Star or Bond. You feel me? Something like that, doing something crazy. You feel me? Somebody that call her slipping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nah. So it's like, it's a lot of stuff. You know, I don't know. I think I'm gonna be.
And that's crazy because my daughter has her cell phone. She has a little Snapchat, Instagram, and all that stuff. And I'm like, I do random phone checks. I know, like my daughter. I will random phone check you, and I told her that she don't pay no bills. She don't need to have a lock on her phone. Like, if I can't unlock her phone, she don't need to have it. Like, you can put a lock on your phone because when you're not home, that's great. But I need, like, she has the fingerprint thing, but they acknowledge my fingerprint and hers. I'm doing random checks on your phone. I would, like, first of all, I pay the bill. I will be all over through your phone, your text messages, your call log, just weird stuff. And I remember not too, like, a while back, with her old phone, she had, you know that application Kick?
Yeah.
Well, it was an incident where she was in a Kick conversation with a whole bunch of her friends, and one of the little boys was just being like, oh, she was calling her friend ugly, and he was like, you could basically suck my whatever he thought he had, and he kept, like, repeating that. And he was just like, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, and blah, blah, blah. So that happened to be one of the days I was doing a phone check. So when they're all, like, in this chat and they're chatting and this, that, and the third, and I'm seeing these little messages go off, and these little kids, it was like 6th grade, and I texted and I said, hello everyone, this is not Zaria, this is her mother, and I said, currently screenshotting this message, and for all y'all parents, I'm inboxing them on Facebook. And all of a sudden, it was like, what? And I was on it like, sorry, who's this? Who's this person? What's their name? She was, like, all embarrassed. But I don't want you to have those conversations. And I told her that. That's not a conversation I want you to be a part of.
Yeah.
And that's just a conversation where one person decided to up the ante, and like everybody else was just chilling, and he just had to go left with it. And it's like, why? Like, who's this person? I don't want you talking to them. And I'm like blocking him, deleting him, but I already know that he can make another kick profile, and they be talking all over again. So like you kind of have to do, like, I trust her, but at the same time I'm doing phone checks randomly at random. I want to know who you're talking to. I'm going through messages. I'm going through all your apps. I'm going through all the pictures in your phone.
What about you, Jabril?
It's kind of crazy because my son has a cell phone, and he's like constantly on his phone, and I kind of gave him the freedom to like use his phone, but he abuses it a little bit. But I see his phone and I see what he does. Like he's constantly on there on YouTube looking at videos, football videos and stuff like that. Like he hasn't actually really been into that period yet where he's having conversations or Instagram. Like he has an Instagram, but his pictures are like basic pictures. And I'll scroll through the comments and see, and I don't see anything crazy on there. Like he has like a friend who like likes all his pictures and things like that. But I haven't quite seen that yet. I mean, he's at that age, at 11. You know, he's going to start trying things or experimenting. You know, he might try to push the limits. But I know my son. Everybody says they know their kids, but I know my son, and I haven't seen that from him yet. I can't control what his friends are doing or saying, but I mean, until he shows me or I can not trust him anymore with that, then it's kind of like, you know, he does what he wants to do.
Guys, we have a caller.
All right. Oh, good.
Hold on 1 second. Did I cut them in? Call you on the air with GFT Radio. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Kiara, and I'm from Trenton.
Hi, Kiara from Trenton.
Thank you for calling.
Hi. I've been actually listening to the conversation, and I agree with on the last part of the conversation where you guys were discussing having company inside your children's room, boy or girl, it doesn't really matter. I'm not really in agreement with that, only because some of the things that you guys have said, I believe that times have definitely changed, and I feel like, you know, kids do want privacy if they're just having somebody over for company or to study. I feel like that private time can be made in the community space in the house. I feel like a lot of what's going on now is that these kids have a lot of spare time and alone time because parents are working. We can't afford to not work. So with the time of day where your kids are in school versus when you get out of work, they have plenty of free time. So I feel like when I'm able to keep my eyes and keep close contact with my kids and know what's going on, or if they're having company, then I need to really know what's going on, and I need them to be in an open space where if I'm just cooking and they're in the living room or if they're in the kitchen, I'm able to see and know what's going on with them. I feel like that's a big part of what the issues now are. Like back in the day where parents had more reign on their kids, it was because, you know, mom and dad were married and maybe mom was home and dad was out working, so it was somebody or someone to be around more often. But with the way things are set up, even if there is a mom and dad in the household, you can't afford it. Everybody's working and everybody or working 2 or 3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is a lot of the reason why some of the things that are happening are taking place. So when we do have opportunities to really kind of keep rings and watch what's going on with our kids, I feel like we kind of have to. It's sad, and also start speaking to them a lot earlier than what we're doing. Because I see that the topic is like birds and bees and when we should be having these conversations with our kids. You can't wait till your kid is 13, you know, to start having these type of conversations. It's all about age appropriateness. So I have a 5 and 9-year-old, and I speak to my kids, you know, about little things, you know, at their age range. But you just can't wait till a kid is damn near grown and then start trying to tell them what to do. It doesn't work that way. You have to instill morals and values in them young. And then, you know, they'll start to, you know, kind of follow those things. Once they've already developed their mind, you know, it's kind of too late at that point.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, because like things are age appropriate. Like, you know, they ask very young, where do babies come from? You know, they start off. That's like probably the first question they ask you, and you have to address that. And, you know, what do you? I'm curious to know when they ask questions like that. Like, what type of response do you give your kids? And that's for everybody. Like, what type of response do you give your kids when they first initially ask you, where do babies come from?
At what age are they? At what age are we talking about?
I mean,
are we talking about?
Most kids ask you what when they're like 9, 10, or sometimes earlier they ask you where do babies come from.
Well, I've already
my daughter asked me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like I said, I have a 5-year-old and I have a 9-year-old, and both of my kids are very mature. They're not your average 5 or 9-year-old. But when my 5-year-old asked me about where babies come from, because my sister just recently had a baby, I said, it comes, you know, I just gave him the scenario that the baby comes from the mom's stomach. I didn't go into, it comes from the mom's vagina, because he's not really familiar with all that. He knows that girls have privates and boys have privates, but I just like he's not necessarily ready for the whole labor, that whole thing. So as of right now, his understanding is a baby comes from a mom's stomach. And that was a good enough answer for him. I feel like sometimes you don't have to give so much information. I gave him just enough. If he had more questions and I had to go there, then I would. But just, you know, mommy's stomach get bigger. See, mommy's stomach is growing. The baby came. Remember Aunt Tamika was getting bigger and that they had that big belly? Okay. And then that was enough for him to understand where the baby came from. But I kind of feel like if they have more questions, then you may have to go a little bit deeper.
I think we all say age appropriate, and I think the content of the conversation is age appropriate. I think that's basically what she's saying. You know, at a certain age, they not going. If we get too deep with it, I mean, they not going to understand it.
And they probably have more questions.
Yeah, we're just going to confuse them. So but
you don't lie and say it came from a stork.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
some people say stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not with the lying. You know, if my daughter or one of my little brothers and sisters ask me a question, and I see, first of all, if they're mature enough to come to me and ask me the question, I'm gonna give it to them straight. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna cheat them. You know what I mean? No matter what their age, if they're mature enough to ask me a particular question, and I know they can handle my explanation from it, you know what I mean? Then I I'm gonna give it to them straight, no chaser. But but like we said, everything's age appropriate. You know what I mean? So like the content might not be as, as deep. It may be a little bit more subtle, but hopefully they'll still get the message.
Okay. Jabril?
I agree with Clint. I mean, if they come to you and they ask you, you have to be, like you said, you got to give it to them straight, no chaser. If they come to you comfortable in yourself and giving them a straight answer, like you say, you're not going to sit here and lie to them and tell them that the whole story thing went out the door. Like, I never
understood why they even did that. Yeah.
Like that's just crazy. You have to tell a kid, oh yeah, the stork, and then once they get older, they can start thinking about things like, yo, what the hell is a stork? Mommy and daddy told me something about a stork. Like, that's not what they teaching us. Your kid gonna be in school and they gonna ask a question, and next thing they, the stork gonna bring it to us, and then you got some other kid that knows the real answer that says the truth, and he's like, no, mommy and daddy had sex, they love each other, they had a baby, and your kid gonna be sitting there confused, like, yo, what's sex? And come home and ask you what sex next. You give it to them straight in the beginning when they first told you. Like I said, you gotta be straight, you gotta feel comfortable. But that brings me to another point. Do you think parents, and this is for everybody, do you think that parents are being too nice, too buddy with their kids, and either letting them get away with too many things, and is it a point where they're like too straightforward with your kids? Because I heard the news about a week ago. And it's a whole different topic, but parents were letting their kids drink. These were high school kids, and I think like Princeton or something like that. They were over their kids. Friends had their kids had a couple of friends over for the weekend, and they let the kids drink. And and they were playing.
Yeah, my daughter not my friend.
Yeah.
That's my daughter. Like I don't think about it. No, I mean, she's not my friend. You know.
Well, you have some parents out there who do that though.
Yeah,
these parents let their kids have a drinking game. It was called Alcoholicaust, where they were drinking. They were doing basically like beer pong with the beer cups, and it was shaped like the Nazi symbol and the Star of David. And these are parents who let their kids have some friends over and they're drinking with them.
Yeah, because you know, like, nah, see, I ain't with that. I ain't with that friend. You know, I ain't with that parent friend. Like, I'm your parent. I'm your dad. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, I want you to be able to come and talk to me about anything. You know what I mean? I'm not going to give you friend advice. That's not what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you fatherly advice. You know what I mean? To the best of my ability. You know, I'm not always going to be right. You know what I mean? Parents are never always right, but I'm going to give you, to the best of my ability, I'm going to give you fatherly advice. My daughter will never get friend advice from me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not your friend at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Yeah, my job is not to make you like me. You know what I mean? That's not my job. Is not to make you like me. My job is to raise you proper with responsibility and have some respect for yourself. You know what I mean? If that causes you not to like me, but at the end of the day it makes you a better person, I'm fine with that. You feel me? My job is complete at the end of the day, because once you grow, you're going on your own anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I ain't with that friend stuff. I ain't with that.
Kiera?
I have a friendly relationship with my children, but I'm definitely not their friend. And I think that I kind of mimicked the relationship that I had with my mom. My mom was cool. All my friends liked her, all that good stuff. But when it was time to lay low, she definitely did that. And I feel like it's the same with my kids. And I kind of, my kids know. I can just give that look and they know, look, I ain't playing no more, you know, chill. I'm serious right now. But I try to keep a playful relationship and a friendship with them, because I want my son to be able to communicate with me. You know what I mean? I want them to know that they can come and talk to me about anything. And just like, you know, I don't know who the guy was that was just talking. I feel like Clint. Oh, Clint. I feel like I want him to understand that I'm his parent. I'm his mom. You know what I mean? And I have his best interest at heart. So if he comes to me, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to give him that mother advice. You know, and I don't want my kids getting their information from the streets, because the information coming from the streets can be the wrong information. And just like I tell him, I want you to tell me everything, and some of the stuff you tell me, I'm not going to like. I'm not going to like probably a lot of the stuff that you tell me, but I want you to tell me, because I'm the one that's going to be able to guide you. I'm the one that's going to be able to give you the resources that you need. And I feel like just a lot of things that I'm realizing now as a parent, I got to, you know, like I had cousins that let me sneak and do stuff that my mom didn't know about. And if I found out I was doing half the stuff that my cousins was letting me do with my kids, I don't really have a problem. Like, I never would have thought back then that anything was wrong with certain stuff that was taking place. But now having my own kids and seeing how things can happen, I feel totally different, and I really take my role as a parent very serious. And I feel like that's what a lot of people lack. They don't really take their position or their role as a parent seriously. I think that's kind of like, you know, a major thing. I take pride in being a parent. And having pretty, you know, good kids thus far. So I feel like when you instill certain things and values and stuff like that into your kids, they really don't want to disappoint you. You know what I mean? And that's why I try to, you know, I try to live my life like, you know, lead by example. You know what I mean? In a sense. Because a lot of people be like, do as I say and not as I do. But if you're in the streets running crazy, what are you expecting of your kids? You know what I'm saying? When I'm having adult conversations with my friends and stuff like that, that's for my friends. My kids are not around when I'm doing X, Y, Z, because it's not for them. They don't understand that I'm having fun with my friends and blah, blah, blah. So I feel like you have to separate the two. I'm a mom when I'm in the house, blah, blah, blah. If me and my girls are talking and we having adult conversations, that's not for my kids. And that's how you kind of have to, you know, you got to just separate things and try to, you know.
Yes.
So.
Yes. I know me and my daughter, she's 13, so me and her joke a lot. Like, we joke. She knows that I'm not her friend, because she know I will tell her by herself in a quick minute, and I will address her accordingly when I feel that she's stepping across the line. But we don't really have too much of those problems. She still, like, she knows the difference that I joke with her, but at the same time, I'm your mother. So Me and her, like you said, Kiera, I want her, being that she's a girl, you know, mothers and daughters bump heads at a certain age, and this is the age where me and her bump heads a lot because I tell her no matter what happens, you're gonna respect me, and I'm your mom. I'm never gonna be like I'm your friend, but I'm not your friend. I'm not one of your friends that you go to school with, hang out with, and talk to in a certain way. None of that. Like I'll laugh and joke with you because that's what we do. But when if you tiptoe across the line, I'm gonna bring you back full circle. And she understands that. She may not like it, but she always tell me I'm just being mean. And no, it's not being mean. I love you. I can joke with you, but at the end of the day, I'm your mother. I take care of you. I'm not nobody that you hang out with. We don't go out to the movies. I know we do out to movies, but we don't go out and play like with your friends or other nonsense. But I do think, like, as far as her drinking, no, I'm not. You're not about to drink nothing. My mother was strict. We ain't do. Mikey kids ain't do nothing. My cousins ain't let us do nothing because they were scared of my mother. My mom ran a tight ship. We couldn't cross street. Street lights came on. We was in the house or on the porch. It was nothing. Like my mom was like, you would have thought we was in somebody's military. We couldn't walk on Stuyvesant. We couldn't do a lot of things. And you knew that if you did it, somebody was going to tell your mother it was going to be a problem. And that's why, like, I don't want my daughter to fear me, but I want her to understand that you can't do things because you don't know who's watching you. And I know so many people that watch her in her daily route to school, and they say, "Oh, I saw your daughter," but she don't even know that I know you. And I'm like, "Well, how was she?" Well, she was well behaved. She wasn't acting rowdy. She was just chilling, blah blah blah. But I instill, like, anybody that I hear from about my daughter that knows my daughter, but knows my daughter through me, but doesn't like never interact with her. They'll tell me how she is out and about, and I know that I'm doing a good job because she's not out here running the streets, hanging on the corner, just being, like. Whereas see most kids out here doing whatever they want to do. So you have to be accountable for your kids. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right.
No, my bad. I want to touch on something because we're talking about parents and the kids. Some of y'all are people out there that's listening. Some people on this line are single parents.
Mm-hmm.
Others are just single and co-parenting. So when you're co-parenting with somebody, and y'all have to be in line on how y'all on stuff like this. You feel me? Like, you can't have one parent when they with one parent. Like my daughter can't be with her mom, and her mom's super, strict when it comes to that. Having boys. And, I'm strict like that too. I'm just using this hypothetically. Like say her mom just real super strict. She can't have no boys in the house. This, that, and the third. But when she come to my house, I'm a little bit more lax and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So when you co-parent, you don't want to send your kids mixed messages. You know what I mean? You don't want to send your kids mixed messages. Say that again?
I said I definitely agree with that, and I said that I agree, but I feel like that's what some of the issues are too. I'm like, you got to really know what you're doing when you're having these babies, because you be having kids and you don't know the person you're having the baby with, so y'all kind of need to be on the same page. And I'm like, you know, the person I have kids with, we may bump heads, this, that, and so, but when it comes down to the kids, it's like it's a no-brainer. So like I definitely don't have that issue, thank God. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, sometimes you have a baby and you think X, Y, Z, and then y'all just totally be on different pages or different, spectrums, or sometimes there's a double standard between what the girl can do versus what the boy can do. And
kids know how to play on that.
Yes,
kids know how to play on that with, like I said, my daughter, 3.5. You feel me? And she know how to play on that already. At least she tried to. You know what I mean? When she don't get away with mommy, she thinks she could come to me or call me and get her way with me, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So, when you're parenting, you got to limit that. You got to check that early, and let them know, like, nah, you're not going to get that off. You know what I mean? Just because, me and mommy not together, mommy and daddy not together, doesn't mean you can play us against each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that basically goes back to, being mature. Being mature. Whatever issues, like Kiara said, whatever issues you have with your former partner, that's between y'all. You know what I mean?
Right.
When it comes to the kids, you let that go. You know what I mean? Me and my baby mom, we have our own issues. But when it comes to my daughter, I ain't really trying to argue with her or beef with her, make it difficult. You know what I mean? We try to come to common ground as much as possible. At the same time, you know, you got to understand we all not going to agree on certain things, but as long as you come to common ground and have understanding, you know, I mean, it makes it easier. Not perfect, but easy.
And the kids need to really know that y'all are a united front, because it's been a couple of things why I didn't necessarily agree, but the kids don't know I ain't agree. You know what I'm saying? Or I know that my youngest son, he really do try to play the, you know, game, ask one person this and then ask the other person. I'm like, oh, you know, you ask your dad? You know, and then I'll find out what the response was and then go from there. Because somebody will say no, and then they'll go ask somebody else, and somebody will say yeah. So that's something that, you know, with these kids, you kind of learn early in the game that they definitely would try to play you, or they know who probably will say no, so they'll try to go to the other person to get an answer. So I normally don't just say yeah. If they ask about something or something specific, I'll be like, okay, let me get back to you. That's normally my response. So I can kind of figure out if they tried to ask somebody else already or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
These kids ain't loyal.
Definitely. Well, right now it is 11 o'clock. We're going to keep this rolling. We are going to go into the after show, but we definitely going to keep the lines open. Hopefully, Kara can stay along and continue this conversation with us. If anybody else wants to join in, you can definitely give us a call, 657-383-1155. But we got a good conversation going. We were able to hit on a lot of things, you know, the whole birds and the bees, the sex talk, the you know, our parents too friendly with their kids, and we're starting to hop into this new conversation taking off right now. Like I say, parents and kids. Somebody brought up the good point of, you know, the kids putting the parents against each other, and that definitely happens. Like you say, you have some people who are single parents, you have some people who are co-parent, and Clint brought that up. I'm in that situation right now, and my kids are good at that. That's the one thing that they will try to do. Well, mommy lets us do this, or mommy says we don't have to do this, but, you know, you come over to my place, it's a whole different story. You're not about to put me, like me and your mom might not be together anymore, but you are not going to put us up against each other when it comes to raising you kids and trying to do the right things for our kids. So hopefully an issue that we used to have that we're trying to, you know, work out now, you know. You still got to be cordial with the parent, whether you're with them or not, because, you know, you're, like you say, you're raising kids. You brought these two kids in, these two people brought this kid in. You know, you have to be able to raise them whether you're still together or not. So that's definitely a good point that was brought up right there. What else do we have to talk about? Anybody else have anything else they want to say about this or any other topic?
I have a question. In regards to when you do let your kids date, the dating, I know that for me, I was thinking, like, when my daughter does start dating and she starts going out, like they start going to the movies, going bowling and blah, 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 would you, as a parent, let them go on their own, or would you tag along and just not be in there, but tag along just to make sure nothing inappropriate is happening?
When you say, like, tag along, like, you know, you say
like
you
if they
go to the movies.
You don't necessarily go into the movie that they're going to. Or the back of the movie.
I can understand that. Because, I mean, I did that when I was younger. You know, my parents, it was always, okay, you know, I'll pick you up or I'll drop you off. Who's picking you up? Who's dropping you off? You know, if they were going, one of the parents would say, or, you know, you might drop me off at the movies and then you go to the mall because the mall was right across the street. You go hang out at the mall, call me when you get done type thing. But I'm not going to sit there and, like sit in between them or sit a couple rows back. Like, I'm going to be in the area. I'll be in the area, but I'm not gonna sit there and, like, stalk them and things like that. Because, I mean, I was that age at one point before. You know, everybody was, you want to go to the movies? Oh, you know, so and so is going to the movies by themselves. That's a whole big thing nowadays. Like, oh, you know, I don't have to go to the movies with my parents. Nobody wants to see their parents at the movie theaters when you're trying to be out chilling with your friends, whether you're doing something bad or not. With on a date. It might even, you don't even call it a date, really. I mean, these kids don't know about dates and things like that. They just, I want to go to the movie with my friends. Okay, you know, what movie you going to go see? Is it a rated R movie? Is it a PG movie? What are you going to go see? What time are you going to the movie? So, I mean, it's not like that, like we brought up, you know, trying to be your kid's friend or anything, but, you know, you want to try to give them space and opportunity to go out and kind of do things on their own.
I agree. Like, you know, I might chaperone a few events. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean? I might chaperone a few events, just, you know what I mean, just to let it be known that my face is there. You know what I mean? But like Jabril said, at some point, trust coming to an issue. I mean, coming to a factor, and you got to be able to trust your kids, and your kids got to be able to know that you trust them. You know what I mean? And you got to give them that opportunity to build that trust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't give them the opportunity to build that trust, you feel me? You'll always be overbearing at the end of the day. But, you know, it also depends on, you know what I mean, what type of activity they about to get into. You know what I mean? Like something like a movie or you know what I mean, stuff like that, skating. You know, that's one thing they still do that. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? I ain't really too pressed. I ain't going to be too pressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But, you know, it depends on the activity. But, you know, at the same time, I gotta give her some freedom. You know what I mean? Or she going to rebel regardless.
Yeah.
Do even worse.
Yeah.
And that's another question. That's another question I have, but I want Kiara to answer that question I just gave. Kiara.
For the most part, my kid can go to the movies or a place like that alone. But I'm definitely gonna be checking the movie time, and I will be there when it's off. I will drop you off and I will pick you up. And it kind of depends on their age, because I know when I was like, I think I was like 12, I went to the movies with a boy, whatever. So it was a group. It wasn't just me and the boy. It was like a group of us. But like 2 of the parents went. They didn't sit with us in the movie. So it depends on what the age is. But if they're like 15, whatever, and they go to the movies, I drop them off or whatever, because I highly doubt my kids be so pressed that they're trying to get something in the bathroom at the movie theater. I hope I don't got some kind of So
something like a pool. Something like them going to a pool or something like that. I'm there ASAP. Like I'm there. I know. Listen, like I told you,
go to the pool.
Yeah, like I told y'all earlier. You know, I was one of them dudes. You feel me? I was one of them dudes.
You know what?
So
he was touching butts and slapping and trying to. He was doing all that. Okay.
But listen, it was a lot of girls out there that was more than willing. So you know, when you in the pool, you know, them fingers and them hands start roaming all in that pool. See, nah, I'm not with that. So if they go into like a pool setting or beach setting like that, I'm there. I'm there.
Same thing happened at the movie theater, though.
The pool was a good time.
I know y'all. What's that?
I said the pool was a good time.
Apparently, according to my research, the Destiny movie theater was a good time too. I just found out about that. I was like, yo, what is the Destiny?
Destiny used to be live. Y'all don't know. Destiny used to get live.
You know, I ain't from that area, but I heard about it. I ain't from that area, but I heard about it, and I'm just like, oh, word? That's what it was? Oh, okay. Now I know.
Kids slick. You know, like how Kiara touched on, like, you know, I know back in the day, you know, I'd be like, Mama, me and my boys, we going to the mall. You feel me? She'll be like, all right. You know, we like 13, 14, catch the bus to the mall. But we're meeting girls there.
See, now you make me worry.
And they say the same, and they tell their parents the same thing. Like, yeah, we just going. They get dropped off by their mom or aunt or something, and they have no clue. We in there waiting. You feel me? Like some vultures. You feel me?
See, now you make me nervous, because my daughter went to the movies twice. Her and my niece. One is 13. Well, my daughter's 13 and my niece is 14. We let them go to the movies, and we gave them money to go to the movies. They now they meet some boys up in the movie. Like, we're going to the movies at this time. We're going to see this movie. And so now you're making me like not want to let them go.
Like I said, it all comes back to trust. You know what I mean? You trust your daughter. You know what I mean? Like, you know your daughter. Yeah,
no, but see, that's why I'm grateful, because for her to be her age and for her to be shaped in the way she is interested in boys, but she is not giving me that. You know how when girls start to get a little bit extra.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm gonna say. They start being extra, because I know when I was a kid, my friend that was younger than me was a little bit fast, and you know you could tell it. but she hasn't given me that inkling of her. And, like, I'm not around her 24/7, but just in how she is, and when I talk to her, just how she is, like, I know she likes boys. She likes boys, but she's like, all like, I like boys. She said that I got a crush and I love him. Like, you don't know what love is. That's what I tell her. Like, you don't know what. Like, I done found notes saying, dear so and so, I love you. And this and third. Like, matter of fact, one of my sister's son's father got a younger little nephew. He's maybe 15, 16. My daughter, we were at their house for a cookout, and Zari's like, oh, he has dimples, and she's smiling and cheesing. And I said, what you say, little girl? She's like, what? Mom, you're bashing me. I'm like, no, I heard what you say. You all love and stuff. Like, but like, I pick with her, but she knows I'm serious. And I want her to be comfortable. I do it jokingly because I want her to be comfortable with talking to me. I don't want to act like I'm just like, oh, you like him? What? Like, I'm not like that, but I want to know. You know?
Yeah, I feel like it's natural.
Go ahead.
I'm going to cut you off. I was about to say,
No,
I feel like it's natural. My son, like I told you, he's 9. He think he's so cool. And one day I was listening to him. He had company, and he was talking about Bay. And I'm like, shit, Bay, you 9. So, you know, I got to listen to this. And I'm like, I had to talk, ask him. I'm making a joke and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, who is Jaya? And he looking at me crazy. My little son know all about it. Oh, Mom, that's Bay. So I had to have a conversation with him because, and my conversations, I don't go crazy, but I explain to him, it's natural. It's natural for boys to like girls. When he talks, he mentions to me, my son, he live on campus at school, so when I go to dinner at the school, the boys are talking, and they're saying a whole lot. So I get a lot of information just by sitting at the table at dinner, listening to the kids talk. And sometimes you even hear inappropriate stuff in the 9-year-old range. And I constantly just talk to myself, it's natural for you to like a girl. Boys like girls. I need him to know that it's okay. Boys I don't do the boys and boy thing. So, yes, it's natural for you to like girls. I said, but you're not at the age to act on it. Because we had a situation where somebody in his class, like a boy and a girl kissed, that he told me about. And, they got busted and don't tell nobody. So I let him know that it's natural for him to like a girl. It's natural for you to have a feeling to think a girl's pretty, this, that, and the third. But you're not at an age where you're acting on those likes. You're not kissing girls. You don't have a girlfriend. That's your friend. Like, we ain't doing none of that. But, yes, it's okay to like girls, and it's natural. And there's going to be a lot more girls that you're going to like. But that's not where we at. You're in school to learn. Bottom line, that's what we doing. We're going to school to learn.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is
that's one thing. That's one thing I want my daughter to know growing up. Like, you're going to be older a lot longer than you're going to be younger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Enjoy this time. You feel me? Get to know yourself at this time. You know what I mean? Build you up at this time. You know what I mean? All that other stuff, that can come in due time. You don't need to rush. You know what I mean? You don't need to rush dating. You don't need to rush sex. You know what I mean? It's not, it's not that deep to where you have to rush it. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I want. Like we already established, we can't. We was kids. We gonna do what we gonna do, no matter what. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. But you know what I mean? As long as we get them the information to know, like, you don't have to rush. You know what I mean? You don't have to rush. You got plenty of time. You got plenty of time.
But I had another question. Because I know this is like stemming from my childhood. Because in my childhood, my street, they was a little bit live. And they was fresh and live early. And my mom was strict. So, when you walk out the house, like certain things that people were doing, I knew damn well it wasn't happening with none of Mikey kids. But I remember my mom was fickle about sleepovers. And especially if that person, the girl house we was going to, had a brother. Because I remember going to a couple of my friends' house and they had brothers. And, y'all know how boys are. Oh, so-and-so spending the night. And all of a sudden you get a tap in the middle of the night. What, you sleep? Like, get out of here. Like, so now, as our kids now this age, because you know how they were back then, how do you, and my mom, like, she didn't like, we spend out with 2 people's house, that's all. We couldn't spend out nobody else's house. But now, in this day and age, would you let your kids spend the sleep at another person's house that's not family? And if you do, like as far as other people of the opposite or kids of opposite sex being there around your child's age, how do you feel about that?
I wouldn't let it happen. I the first person's house I spent the night over, it was a friend's birthday party. It was in elementary school, and it was a birthday party, and he had like a whole bunch of guys over. You know, we played video games and ate pizza and stuff like that. It was, they say kids are different nowadays. Back then, we weren't thinking about any of that. It was just like, oh, you know, we going to his house. We about to go to the store and rent the video games. We about to watch video games and play games and watch movies and eat pizza. But nowadays, it's like, yo, you got a kid that could spend the night over somebody else's house. You don't know what that parent is like. You don't know who his parent is, what they're doing over their house, and you really can't just trust everybody's parents with your kids.
They might not even be home.
The night. They might not be home. Oh yeah, so and so. You tell your mom you spending the night at my house. I'm gonna tell my mom I'm spending the night at your house, and that's what's gonna happen. Like, nah. Now you up here thinking your kid over the house with somebody's parent, and their parents not home. Next thing you know, they having a party at the house. Parents got liquor cabinets and guns and all the kind of stuff in their house, and next thing you know, you got girls coming over, boys coming over, older people coming over. And the older ones is going to be the ones that's like, oh, you know, let's go hit up these other kids. Either the younger kids trying to hang out with the older kids, or the older kids trying to be there because they know they can get away with these things. And nah, I wouldn't trust my kids spending the night over somebody else's house that wasn't family.
What?
First of all, sometimes you can't even trust family.
Yeah,
right.
Amen.
But I know with me, like I could go back to like what Jabril said. You know, for the most part, when I was younger, you know, me and my boys, we all had sleepovers and stuff. You know, yeah, we was all playing wrestling, play fighting, real fighting. You know what I mean? We thought we was rappers or whatever. You know what I mean? 8, 9 years old. You know, we did everything. But at the same time, even at that age, thinking back, we still like girls too. We still talked about girls. We still had the little magazines. You know, back in the day, you used to sneak a Playboy or a Playpen or a Blacktail or something like that. You know,
he bringing them back. Okay.
Yeah, you know what you talking about. You know, we taking it back. You feel me? So, you know what I mean? It goes to knowing that parent. Like all of my boys who we had sleepovers with, you know what I mean? Our mothers knew each other.
Mhm.
You feel me? They all went to school together. They may not have been best of friends, you know what I mean? But they knew each other, and their kids was best of friends. So they had that trust, and basically we all lived in the same area. You know what I mean? So if anything, you know, we can get up in the middle of the night and walk out the door, walk down the street right to our house. You know what I mean? So I never really stayed at nobody's house that I barely knew, and I never let nobody stay at my house that I barely knew. So I wouldn't allow my kid, you know, it got to be a real, you know what I mean? And then at this age, my daughter's like, she able to talk, and she able to tell me what's going on. So as long as you're able to talk and explain to me what's going on, you know what I mean? If I'm close with that person, you know what I mean? Maybe like her godparents, I mean, like she could sleep, her aunt, you know what I mean? She could sleep at her house, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But, you know, not too, I ain't with, I mean, people I don't know.
Stuff.
Yeah, if I don't know you. And then, but, you know, like I said, it's a double standard. It is a double standard when it comes to boys. But my little brothers, you feel me, it was more, I mean, it was more lax. They was able to stay at people's house that we didn't really know. You know what I mean? They was just real cool with the kids, but we didn't really know the parents. You know what I mean? Like, my dad died young, so, you know, I had a hand in that. So it was like, you know, I guess it's cool. You know what I mean? Their mom ain't really stressing it. You know what I mean? They boys already know how they react if something crazy happen. You know what I mean? So it was a little bit more lax. Girls, you know, with the girls it's different. Even though, you know what I mean, the boys sometimes get the short end of the stick.
Here?
Because things can happen to them too.
Yeah.
I'm very particular about where my kids go. Outside of family, it's only one person's house that they go to. Well, not even they, only my oldest. He has a boy he was in school with since he was 2. And me and his mom got real close, so he's almost like a second son to me. And her son is like a second son. You know, my son is like a second son to her. They have the same birthday, and like, I really trust her. And the other little boy is the only child. So the mom don't have a boyfriend. And, you know, my son is able to go there. I'm real selective because I used to work with DIFUS kids who were sexually abused. And you wouldn't believe how many boys are actually sexually abused, especially in our community.
Yeah.
So I'm real particular about where my sons go. And unfortunately, people don't really talk to their kids about stuff like this. But both my boys got serious talks, and I don't give a fuck. They go to my mom's house. Unfortunately, when my kids I don't care where they go. When they come home, I have a conversation with them. You know, and I don't just be like, this is my, you know, I don't act crazy or make them feel alarmed. But I just talk, you know, and ask certain things, because a lot of times when kids are molested, and from my experience, when kids are molested, young kids don't really have a timeline or time frame. They can say who did it, but they really can't pinpoint when stuff started happening, or, you know what I mean? It happened on Tuesday. They don't think like that, and they leave out a lot of details. So I'm real particular about where my kids go. When they do go, we have conversations, and both my kids, they know how to wash themselves. They know how to do, you know, all this stuff for themselves. So there's no need for nobody to be in the bathroom with them. There's no need for none of that. They know that their front is private. They know their back is private. They ain't got no, you know, they know all of that information. And, you know, they you know, they're not overly crazy. Like, if my, you know, they went to my grandma's house, like, Grandma, get out of here, you know, but they're just aware. I make them aware. And I even have a conversation. If somebody does something, you know, and they say, if you tell, I'm going to hurt your mom, I'm going to hurt your dad, don't believe them. Tell me anyway. That's what your parents are here for. That's, you know,
I know that's
right. To deal with.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm a stickler because I play a lot of games, and that ain't one of them. So I'm real
I know that's right.
You know, I'm not trying to be overprotective, but I'm trying to be a step ahead of the game, because I know that these things happen at kids at such young ages that I it's something that I had to introduce to my kids early. So I think that's a conversation that everybody needs to have in some way with their kids. So you have to be selective, but at the same time, you still have to live.
The one thing about, you know what I mean, like the tricky part about letting people stay the night over something, I mean, your kids stay the night over somebody's house, is the person who house that you're letting them stay at, you may trust them. Like, you may sincerely trust them, and they may be trustworthy to you. They may never give you any reason. Yeah, exactly. They may have somebody else around who they are blind to, who they can't see, and that person, you feel me? So that's who make me nervous. The devil I don't see, not the devil I do see. The devil I don't see. You know what I mean? That's what make me nervous.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like I know, you, even with friends and their kids, you don't know what their kids are learning when they're not around them. So you have to be mindful. Some of your friends' kids are grown, and they could be young, but they are grown. Like, they act grown, they see grown-up things, and they emulate the grown-up things that they see. And it's like, that person might not be being I don't want to say being a bad parent, but oblivious to what's going on in their kids' life, because they're too busy working, and they think the people that their kids are around are good people. But then when their kids learn a certain behavior and bring that to, because like I remember my daughter, one of her, like, this girl, I grew up, like, this is like my real good friend, and her child was around my child all the time. And when that child started speaking stuff, like sexual stuff out of random, I was like, yo, you need to figure out where that's coming from. I'm sitting there, and they're over there playing, like they were like 3 and 4 playing, and he's like, what, you under covers? Are you under the covers naked? It's like, what? And I'm like, what are you saying? He's like, I thought she was under there naked. And I was like, why? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, and I like grilled him, like, where did you get that from? I sat him down, had a conversation, and then I called his mother. I said, you need to have a conversation with your son, because he's saying this, and I'm trying to figure out why. Like, because he's not getting it from here, so you need to figure out who's around that he's seeing naked under the covers, or, you know, or asking my child about sex, and therefore, what's going on? You have to be aware of who you have your kids around, because you're not, you know, if you're not aware of that, your kids can pick up things from other kids that are picking up things from other people that are not necessarily good people.
And the kids could be the predators.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like, kids can be predators themselves. So, you feel me? Like, it's deep when you get into that conversation. Like, it's different. It's so many. Like that's an eerie world for me. You know what I mean? Like that make me real uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that now at this point, I had to distance my child away from that child, because if you're not going to correct their behavior and they're still going on and they're adding more stuff to their conversation that they shouldn't be having at this age, then I can't have my kid around your kid anymore, because you're not addressing the issue. I want my child knowing that type of stuff. She's too young, and if you want your child to learn that and you're okay with it and you don't see a problem with it, my child don't need to be around your child, because I don't need her having those type of conversations or even saying stuff like that. Like, she's too young to be having conversations like that. So you have to be aware of not only just the adults, the kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sad world, because back then you didn't have that, but now with this world the way it is, you know, it's just getting crazy.
This is true. Well, people, it's about that time. We're about to wrap this show up. It's been a great show. Conversation doesn't have to end here, though. You can always reach out to us at gftradioshow.com. You can hit us up on our Facebook page, GFT Radio. Anybody has their own personal Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you can reach out to us there and hit us up for any information about tonight's show or any show that we've had in the past, or future shows, and anything you want to talk about, topics or anything you want to put out, you can hit us up there. Clint, you want to give out your information?
Yeah, y'all can hit me up on my blog site, akingstruth.com. You can hit me on Twitter at @TrentonGrooming. You know, I'm also on Snapchat at The King's Truth. You feel me? You could. I also want to point out we have GFT Radio Show has a YouTube channel. So any shows that y'all missed, you can go to our YouTube channel at GFT Radio Show. Check us out there. Check out, you know what I mean? Leave your comments, you know, suggestions and everything. Sonny?
You can reach me at IamSunny_D on Twitter and on IG. I'm not really on there, but you can follow me on IG. You can also reach me on my blog, unreservedlyme.wordpress.com. Also, GFT Radio has a Twitter account, so it's GFT_radio. Follow us on Twitter. Thank you, Kiara, for calling. Yes.
Kiara, definitely, we want to shout you out. Appreciate you calling, sticking through for the show, and all your input that you gave us. Everybody else, you know, you're always welcome to call in and give us your opinion or whatever you have to do or say to any topic that we have on the show. Kiara, we really appreciate you calling in and sticking out with us for this show.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so this show should be up Sunday by 6 o'clock. You can be sure to check us out there. Tune in next Thursday, same time, to hear what we got to know. Other than that, everybody, this was a great show. Appreciate it. Anything anybody else wants to say before we log out?
J-Bo, you have to got your Twitter address.
I forgot to get my Twitter address. Everybody knows where to find me at. You can Google me, JRO609. I'm everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. All you got to do is type in JRO609 on there.
And I just want to say again, I appreciate the caller for calling in, and hopefully we get more callers to continue calling in. Thank y'all.
Yeah,
thanks,
also,
everybody.
Wait 1 second before we go. Kenya, our former host, Kenya's having the MS Walk this weekend. Sunday? I believe it's at 9. At Veterans Park in Hamilton, New Jersey. So if you're coming out, we will be glad to see you there. Other than that, you guys have a great night.
All right.
Bye.
All right.